Hello everybody, it is Reddit time again. Are you prepared for some more Reddit? Today I'm going to be doing some r/malicious compliance. It's been a while, so felt like doing this subreddit. Our first story for the day is by u/grimgx. Don't be malicious, or I will be too. This happened about 5 or so years ago, when I was a junior developer for Bespoke Software Development House. I do not remember exactly wordings, so things are going to be somewhat paraphrased. I had been working for the company for a little under 2 years, and this was my first software development job. I was very loyal to the company, as they had taken a chance on me, so to speak. It is quite difficult to get your first development job here, as every company is looking for someone with experience, even if you do have some qualification. This is a small company, with around 15 staff at its largest, including some administration staff that was shared between this company and another company that the owner and CEO ran from the same premises. I lived about a 30-minute to 45-minute drive away on a good day, and always left for the office really early, at least an hour and a half before starting in case of traffic. We were told we were allowed to work somewhat flexible hours, as long as we worked the time in, or encouraged to be in by 8 a.m. Because I often left early from home, I would often be in by 7, sometimes earlier. I had keys for the office, so I could let myself in. I arrived late one Monday morning, having been stuck in a huge amount of traffic. There were at least 4 accidents and a few broken down vehicles on the highway, so I arrived around 30 minutes late. I walked in, set up my laptop, and started working. A few minutes later, my direct boss and the development manager, let's call him Douche Manager, looks at me irritably, asks where I've been. I told him that I had messaged him at around 6:45 to let him know traffic was bad and I may be late. That was the last I heard of it for them. I left for work at 17:30, having worked through my lunch as usual and 5 minutes before I should technically have left, considering the time I arrived. The next morning, I arrived to a company-wide email from Douche Manager that read something like this. All staff, even OP and other dev, need to work on their hours. You are not allowed to leave early unless you ask for permission. We will be docking salaries for time missed in the future. Douche Manager. This was in spite of the fact that I had worked between 8 and 10 hours of overtime the week prior, and about 40 for the month. Needless to say, I was irritated. Other dev, who was a more senior developer for the company, was just as irritated as I was, and worked really around as many hours as I did. Overtime for development staff is pretty much always unpaid where I am from, so we aren't paid for the hours worked extra. I was offended that they would make this a public matter, and would have reacted very differently if they had spoken to me in person, and perhaps even given me a chance to explain my perspective. We were also told when we'd been hired that this is give and take, and we work hard, but we play hard, etc., and was under the impression that they appreciated the hard work. I was running 3 to 5 projects at a time, which included development, creating spec doc, customer software support, meetings with the client, deployments, etc. This is the reason why I was constantly working overtime. Other dev and I walked out for a cigarette, I know, not great, but I still smoke, and discussed what we should do, our malicious compliance. We decided that from now on we would only work the hours for which we were paid. We arrived not before 7:50, even if we had to wait somewhere before arriving. It would start working at 8 sharp. We took every single lunch break to which we were entitled. We left at 17 on the dot, no matter how much more work there was still left to do. We also started looking for other places to work. A few weeks later, other dev came to me and let me know that he had found other work and that they wanted to interview me. He resigned that same day. I ended up being offered and signing a contract with the new company a week or so later, only a day before being called into a meeting with Douche Manager and the CEO. They wanted to know why I had been, to use their term, clock watching, and they wanted to let me know that they were concerned about deadlines. Just to be clear, I had not been slacking at all. There was simply more work that can be done in normal business hours. The look on their faces when I, in the same meeting, told them that the email that Douche Manager had sent to the whole company was completely inappropriate, and this is why I had been clock watching, and was giving my notice was priceless. They tried to offer me a higher salary, but it felt as though the bridge was already burned at that point. And that is the end of the story. Okay. Time to move on to the next one. Our next story is by u/TalIP1878. Dr. Johnson, how do you computer? I've been working in IT for 15 years now. but I've yet to find anything that tops this. I work for a small shop, 3 employees, but we service multiple companies entirely. A number of those companies are doctor's offices. At one of the doctor's offices, we serviced that they had a policy to change machines after updates, that only relevant information was transferred to the system, and to remove anything we did not want IT to go through when the machine was replaced. Confidential patient data is secured on the servers, but not on the machines. So this is a way of purging unneeded old Word documents and cat memes that have been saved. There's also policy to ensure that nothing is left on the machines that should not be there. Like, say, using your work equipment for adult entertainment. It was Dr. Johnson's turn to have his machine upgraded to a brand new one after his old machine had been in service for about 3 years. We informed him a week prior that we'd be changing his machine in a week, and scheduled to do so on a day when he was not in the office, and send him a copy of the practice policy for equipment changes. In most cases, there's nothing remotely interesting or sprinkled doing these transfers. It must be noticed over the years that people seem to collect a lot of garbage downloads from the internet that were not needed anymore, and some Word and Excel documents that were archived off to cold storage and had not been moved to new machines unless they had been accessed in the last 6 months. I'm not sure what's otherwise. The day came in for the transfer. I showed up at the office and started to get an idea of how much data we need to move. As usual for most people in the office, Dr. Johnson left a post-it note on his keyboard saying he never had the time to go through anything for us to input. I opened File Explorer, browsed through his profile path, right-click it to find the folder size. 347 gigs of data, which seemed pretty extreme. I started going, checking the folders in his profile, and 297 of this data was on the desktop. I drilled down further until I find the folder on the desktop named Fun Stuff. Thinking it was installed for some fun game or something else, I opened the folder. To this day, I wish I had not. I was greeted by several thousand high-resolution pictures of Dr. Johnson's office, Yankton. Oddly, a number of these were also animated, and there were video files. I didn't look at these, and even some bizarre shots from under his desk, no pants, and from the mirror behind him, possibly patient even in the room. I locked the screen and went to the head of the practice to discuss what I had just found. Who could not believe someone who was in the process of becoming a partner in the practice would be doing this with company equipment? I showed him the images, to which he took out his phone and called the other 2 partners into the office to come over. They thanked him, asked him to pull the machine and not transfer anything, and to put the old computer in their offices. I installed the new machine I got from the set up all the applications and left the office for them to handle it internally. The next day, after Dr. Johnson was come back to work, I guess things did not go over well with the others at the practice. He called our office and demanded to talk to me, and started to yell at me over the phone. About what an invasion of his privacy I committed, that he planned to sue me personally over, that I had cost him his chance of becoming a partner in the practice, his position in the practice. Apparently his wife, because she was good friends with the wife of the head of the office. And I guess God just happened. When he was done yelling, I asked him calmly if there was anything else to say, and I reminded him of our office records, with all calls recorded in and out, and then asked him 3 questions. Did he receive the email explaining the process of replacing his machine, or his own company policy, that we would be sorting relevant and not relevant data to anything he did not want us to see, would have been dealt with on his own ahead of time? He had replied to this very email that I would try to go through steps in some time. The answer, yes. Do you remember leaving a note on his keyboard saying he didn't bother to do any cleanup and for us to do it? Answer, yes. Which did he think would go over better? Him shutting up, dealing with the problems he created himself by being a disturbing person, to a doctor, or trying to sue me personally for following his practice's policy and having all the details made public? After I asked this question, he just hung up the phone. All the other doctors in the office started to refer to him as Dr. Spanky or Dr. Feelgood. I last heard they turned him into the state medical board and he lost his license to practice medicine, was divorced and was under a criminal investigation in a few months of this happening. I lost track of it all when we distanced ourselves from that medical practice for several reasons. Mostly, they just love to order things and then try to take as long as possible to pay for them. I've that is it for this story. Our final story comes from u/federal Aunt 9. And this is one of the top-rated posts across the entire subreddit, so you're in for a real treat with this one. Ex's divorce lawyer sends 3 years of complete financials or else. Me, as you wish. This happened several years ago, when my ex and I were going through a heated divorce/custody battle. While we were married, we had a couple of conversations about how rich people hide their assets to avoid paying taxes. I somehow never had enough access to do this. But she always had the idea that I was, and told her attorney that I was laundering money and hiding income. It was more likely the heat of the moment as divorce/custody battle often come down to that. I couldn't even afford my own attorney, so I represented myself. The lawyer wasn't a total ass, but he clearly was out to get me, and talked down to me like I didn't deserve to breathe the same air. One day I get a letter in the mail from him requesting an updated income declarations form and 3 years of financials. He had a long-ass list of things to include. I own a communications tech company that was in super startup phase back then. Money was already tight. I was trying to get this business off the ground with no financing. I was finishing my MBA with scholarships and loans. Paying for copies and postage for driving us 30 miles to his office meant eating peanut butter and saltines for a week. So I called him to explain my situation. He all but called me a liar and didn't believe I couldn't afford it. I was put off by that, and I said this was taking time away from business I needed to handle. To which he replied, and I'll never forget this, "Well, according to your income declarations, you're not that busy. What do you do all day?" He then said if he didn't get these documents, he would consider my previous filings as fraudulent, tell the judge, contact the DA, and also alert the state tax agency and the IRS. Probably an empty threat, but I'm not worried. eFax is one of the services my company provides, and at this time it was relatively unknown. So I asked him if he has a fax machine. He said he had a fax scanner copy device. Then said, what law office doesn't have a fax machine? I suddenly got an idea. Okay, I said to him, I'll put together and fax whatever I can. Okay, motherfucker. You want 3 years of financials? You got it. I scanned the PDF, every receipt I could find. McDonald's receipt from 5 years ago? Good. Won't hurt to include it. CVS receipt, it's 2 miles long. Perfect. They get the $1 off toothpaste coupons too. I downloaded every bank statement, credit card statement, purchase orders from vendors, and every invoice I sent to clients. I printed the PDF the entire 3-year accounting journal. Monthly, quarterly, annual balance sheets, cash flow statements, P&Ls. Not only did I PDF 3 years of tax filings, but every single letter I received from the IRS and state tax agency, including the inserts advising me of my rights. It took a while, but I was 3 days ahead of the deadline. I made a cover page, black background with white lettering. Wherever I could, I included separated pages in all caps, the biggest, boldest font that fit on the page and landscape. 20 on tax receipts, 20 on tax taxes, etc. I merged everything into a single 150 plus page compressed PDF and sent the document using my eFax system. Every hour or so, I received a status email saying the fax failed. Huh, that's weird. Well, they're getting this document. So I changed the system configuration to unlimited retries of failures. Keep redialing until it went through. Weird, I was still getting status email failures. I'll delete the failure emails to keep the success one after it goes through, I thought. Problem solved. 2 days later, a lady from this office called and asked me to stop sending the fax. Their fax scanning printer copier had been printing non-stop. They kept getting paper jams, kept running out of ink, and they had to keep shutting it off and back on to print. I explained that her boss told me to send this by the deadline, or else he'd call the DA and the IRS. Since I didn't want to call from the DA or the IRS, I would keep sending until I got a success confirmation. I suggested that they just not print until my fax completes, but she didn't like that. She asked me to email the documents. I told a little white lie that an email wouldn't allow an attachment that big. Unless her boss in writing agreed to cancel the request, or agree to reimburse me for my costs to print and ship, I said I would continue the fax until they confirmed they had received every single page. She put me on hold, and the attorney gets on the line. He said forget sending the financials. I said that I would need this in writing, so I would keep sending the fax until he sent that to me. He asked me to stop faxing, and he would send it in writing. I said send it in writing first, then I'll stop. One long moment of silence. About 20 minutes later, I received an email from his assistant with an attached signed letter in PDF that I no longer needed to provide financials. The letter then threatened to pursue syndications in court or suing me about interfering with their business. Every time I saw him after that, the lawyer never brought up sanctions, lawsuits, criminal referrals, or financials again. TLDR accuses me of hiding income and money laundering. The voice library demands 3 years financials as spam faxes with my company's e-fax service. That's going to be it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed this Reddit time, and I hope I can get back sometime this week.